We've all been a part of that crew that wanted to sit down at the cool kids table because you saw how everything was shaking and moving, and people became fast friends, and relationships were beginning to grow, and things were just happening in a manner in which it was productive, and it was leading you in a direction that you felt was best comfortable for you to continue to keep elevating. And I'm sitting here, I was listening to Eric Thomas, motivational speaker, phenomenal guy. And, he's just talking about how we must continue to keep growing, continue to keep moving, and never become stagnant. And then I was listening to another episode where they was talking about this book by C.S. Lewis, talking about mere Christianity. And they talk about how it distinguishes between vanity and pride, highlighting that vanity is a fault rooted in a desire for external praise and admiration, while pride is more diabolical, is a more diabolical sin characterized by a complete disregard for the opinions of others and a feeling of self-sufficiency. Well, I got to wonder, after I saw this tweet came out a little while ago, and then a response back from it by one of the Sanders, I'm just gonna say Deion Sanders Jr. from Well Off Media. I was like, wait a minute. I said, okay, something ain't jiving here with what's going on as far as this NFL draft process. Let's take a deep dive and see what's going on. Well, y'all already know your favorite coach is gonna go ahead and jump on in this thing because I want to see exactly. I want to get a perspective as far as what's going on, because I get the whole thing where people want to be, they want to critique as far as where this young man, Shedeur Sanders, is going to end up in the draft. And it's mighty funny how all of a sudden this is happening now. So y'all know we're going to go ahead and talk about it. This is your favorite coach from Tomorrow Sports Network. But this is going to be an episode of Blow the Whistle with your favorite coach, Coach Walker. Y'all make sure y'all tune in, tap in, tell a friend to come on in. Number positive vibes, like I always say. Make sure you got your drinks, your coffee, you got your tablet, your TV, your phone, even your laptop if you need that. Get your pillow, you're comfortable and everything. Sit down, watch what we're gonna get into. Cause I gotta share this with you here because it's I know y'all like, Coach, you bugging out over there because you done gave some critical responses to things as far as with Shedeur Sanders and him being drafted to the NFL, or just his play in general. Critiqued him a little roughly than what you should have. And now I'm sitting here, I'm looking at, as like I said, we're days away. When you guys get this, it'd be 24 hours before the NFL draft going to take place. And the sad thing about all of this is the fact that these people are saying this now. And I'm trying to understand, like, wait a minute. If you guys were watching all of this take place throughout his whole collegiate career, why are we talking about it now as he gets closer to the finish line to be drafted by an NFL organization? It just blows my mind with this. And I get I get the whole setup as far as what's going on, because just like I'm gonna use LeBron and Bronny James, I got to put it out there for you for me to line this up for you. How in the world is the 55th pick the most talked about NBA player in the draft when you got 1 through 54 that haven't done anything in the NBA this season? I say all of that to say this. They know LeBron James and Bronny James, and if they're talking about them on social media, talking about them on the different sports channels, everybody's going to dial in and see what's going on. Same thing's happening here with Coach Prime, Shedeur Sanders, Colorado, even over at Jackson State. Same thing. I said now, as we progress with this, back to what I stated originally, how people want to come sit at the cool kids table where they want to, build relationships, and they want to, make sure their face card is right, so that when they sit down with the family, sit down with the friends or whomever that's already in the circle, they will ingratiate them to come on in and be a part of what's going on, not understanding that in the end, when, as Coach Prime like to say, when you didn't keep it 100, that's when your behind get exposed. And in this instance, Emmanuel Acho from Fox Sports actually tweeted out, he did a show earlier today where he was talking about Jackson Dart being QB2. Now, in the tweet itself, I'm showing you the tweet. It says, I messaged you privately to chat. If simply asking if Jackson Dart QB2 is unfair or offensive to you, I'm unsure how I can even attempt do my job well without offending. I've spent 2 years praising your family, not like y'all need my praise. I value relationships, so let's talk.
Team meeting, I need you all to see this. This is why Jackson Dart has become quarterback 2 on many people's boards, ahead of Shedeur Sanders, right behind Cam Ward. This is in large part why. The name you're familiar with. The game I need you to know a little bit better. Identify number 1, they're in man-to-man coverage. Now that Jackson Dart realizes they're in man-to-man coverage, it's simple. Make sure the ball can travel faster than the man. Take a look at Jackson Dart right here. Here's the post safety. That's the guy you got to be cognizant of. But Jackson Dart doesn't even bother looking him off because he understands if I throw a perfect ball, slot fade, hardest pass, by the way, to defend on defense. If I can throw a perfect ball, this defender is nowhere near the play. But look at the ball placement. Look at it. This is Dart. Bomb. Touchdown. But I want y'all to see it from an even different angle because understand the pressure that Dart is taking on while he delivers this strike. Here's Dart right here. Identify, okay, they're motioning out on defense. They're in man. I got to make sure the ball beats number 2. That's the post safety. But watch the pressure that's going to come from the right edge. Right tackle, he gets beat relatively clean. Dart gets rid of the ball just like that. Touchdown. This is why you could suggest Jackson Dart has become quarterback 2 on many people's boards. Take a look at him again right here because his eyes are constantly down the field, even in the midst of pressure. Jackson Dart, he's going to make one of my favorite passes of his all season long. Pocket, not going to be clean. You got to be able to live above the X's and O's. The coach draws the play, but can you live above the play when the play breaks down? Scrambling to his left, eyes are always downfield. Eyes are always downfield. Moving, eyes downfield. Keep in mind, Dart could tuck it right now. He could block. Dart could pick up about 8 yards. But instead, he's like, nah, I want to take this one to the crib. 50 yards in the air while scrambling left. Take another look at it.
The one thing that I begin to understand, actually I've understood this off the door, when it comes to the Sanders family, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure y'all leave your comments down below. I welcome them all. If you're not playing straight up with them off the rip, they not really gonna fool with you like that, period. So it's like you can come in here and try to sugarcoat it how you want to, make it look like it's something that it's not. But once it gets exposed, they're not fooling with you behind. And that's just the way it goes. And respectfully, I understand, Deion Sanders Jr. responding back, where he stated, he just put it out there to him simply plain. He's like, hey, I'm not gonna say that, I'm not gonna talk about the Cameron clip where he said, actually, I'm just gonna put it out there. He posted a picture of Cameron. He said, I was blind, but now I see. I've had things that I've said about Shedeur Sanders as far as his play out there on the field, which seeing some of these things that the NFL, NFL Network is now saying, or NFL.com, where it comes to some of these scouting directors as well as people, at different organizations, whatever have you, giving their responses as far as what they think about this young man and him playing for an NFL team. At least I'm just blown away by it because I'm like, wait a minute. Leading up to this, there was nothing but praise given to this young man as far as what he's able to do out there on the field, how he's able to, manipulate the defense to get them to shift and move and do things in the manner which he needs to do and be able to, make passes down the field. Now, I can say I do respectfully understand the fact that Colorado didn't run a balanced offense. It was more so everything was on Shedeur Sanders to move that ball down the field. All we heard about was 2. If 2 got the ball in his hands and there's 2 minutes left to go in the game, we need 7 points to win the game. Guess what? 2 going to drive us down the field to go ahead and get that go-ahead score for us to win. We've seen them do it. We've seen it with it against Southern Florida, USF, in that game, which they was able to get that win, in that game. I think it's either USF or Baylor. One of those games, he drove them down the field and was able to secure that win for them to walk up out of there and get the W for the day. Now, we're going to bounce back and look at some of the stuff that's in this article here that I found that was just really like, wow. I mean, I'm just thrown off by some of this. And there's one NFC scouting director who has done extensive background work on Sanders, summarized it this way. When you hear all the anecdotal stories about the person, it's not like he's a bad kid. He has been so insulated. It's going to be a culture shock when he really learns how a locker room really operates and how it really works inside a building. He's had so much input on the offensive game plan and who the coach is, and everything's been catered to him. When you walk in one of these NFL buildings, no one's going to give a shit about that. No one cares who your dad is. You're going to have to end up fighting through some adversity. The plays aren't going to be called to exactly what you want to run. Even last year with Shermer, a lot of the mistakes he made was stuff that he just decided to call at the line of scrimmage himself. And there's no recourse of him making those decisions. Whereas in a real locker room, you make a couple of those decisions, you get your ass ripped so bad that you never want to do it again. Less than 4 months after Shedeur Sanders played his final college game, Colorado retired the numbers of Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter and Sanders, with the quarterback's inclusion and the unusually speedy move leading to a backlash, including from former Buffalo players. Even with the I understand why Coach Prime was pushing for it to happen, for the jersey retirement to happen. That's not something I really believe in, based on how things were done when I played the game. It wasn't just instantaneously everything happened the way we wanted it to happen. Things of this nature took time. They waited to see exactly how we fared in life, and then came back and hoisted the jersey up somewhere, the retired jersey. It took place like that. And funny thing is, not all college institutions retire jerseys. That's something else that everybody's not talking about. Everybody doesn't retire football jerseys or retired jerseys at colleges or universities. Hearing them talk about that lets me know that left a real nasty taste in a lot of folks' mouths, with them, feeling the way that they feel about the jersey, except the jerseys being retired. Now, I know some of you out there like, man, y'all hating, y'all some old folks, y'all need to let it go. This is what they want to do, let them be, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I get all of that, and I respectfully understand where y'all coming from. But again, we're talking about billionaires. We ain't talking about thousandaires. We ain't talking about millionaires. We ain't talking about hundredaires. We ain't talking about 10 heirs, and we ain't talking about dollar heirs. We're talking about billionaires that got the B in front of their name when it comes to their money. And they like for stuff to be structured. And in this instance, they look at it as it's something that wasn't really structured, as well as what he has going on and what he's been doing at, the quarterback position since he played high school football all the way through college. And he's only been coached by his dad. Matter of fact, I have another piece that came out that article where they actually talked about Brian Brown, who was coached by his father through high school, and then his brother at Louisville. Midway through his college career, Brown was discussed as a potential high first-round pick. Wow, sound like somebody else we know right now, right? And it's funny how they're pulling from this just to show examples of what could possibly happen Thursday. I hope that doesn't happen to this young man, because you got to give him his credit. He worked his behind off to get to where he's at. But to see something like that happen, that's going to be pretty daggone screwed up. But it said once the 2008 draft came around, through the signal caller, slid to the second round, 56th overall. Before the Packers rescued him, making a calculated gamble, he benefited from getting outside the family environment. Instead, Braum crumbled. At least once, his brother Jeff emailed a local beat reporter to complain about negative practice reports and accuse the media of bias. Again, we've heard this before too. See, I'm not saying all of this trying to point fingers at nobody. I'm just giving you guys the obvious as far as what some of these other folks out here are saying that, some of us have been saying before in the past. Now you have them writing this information about this young man and things that they've seen at Jackson State as well as at Colorado. Funny thing is, just looking at this report itself, I'm sitting there asking myself, like, wait a minute, why now though? I mean, I'm still back to the question, why now? I'm like, we're less than 2 days away, guys. I'm like, why now? But again, I guess, hey, they got to write something to keep everybody interested in what's going on, because they know they're going to click on it and they're going to talk about it. And I can understand the Sanders family is becoming a little frustrated as far as everything that's happening, because they're too sitting on pins and needles trying to figure out, okay, we're trying to get Shedeur in here to get drafted. Heck, we got to figure out what's going to happen with Shiloh next. I mean, it's just so much that's going on right now with the family as far as with trying to put this together. I'm sure Coach Prime sitting back with cool head, but I'm also pretty sure he'd have picked that phone up and dialed off in a couple of folks behind, letting them know what he really felt about some of the stuff that was being said about him and his son as far as how things are being managed at the different programs that they were at. Now, let's look at this last thing here. A longtime NFL assistant coach said that the coach spent with one of the assistant coaches spent with Shedeur, I guess, getting to know him, interviewing him, whatever have you. And they get to talking about, he gets to talking about entitlement and things of that nature. Like I said, this stuff here, seeing this stuff come out now, I'm just like, wow, y'all, I mean, all this time, all this stuff been going on, you guys wait till now to want to pick this kid apart. And then, Emmanuel Acho want to talk about Dart. I mean, I get it, but I'm just like, what's your angle with this? I mean, Shedeur was used like this during the Heisman Trophy run. Now you use them like this during the NFL run. While he's trying to get himself drafted to the NFL. I'm like, God, dog. So let me go ahead and finish this thing up here for you so I can give you exactly what's going on. But it stated, I'm gonna start all over again. It said, one longtime NFL assistant coach said his time with Sanders was the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good, said one longtime AFC executive. It didn't go great in our interview. He wants to dictate what he's going to do and what's best for him. He makes you feel small. Even some of Sanders fans expressed disappointment he didn't take a bigger step forward as a senior. I liked him the year before at NFC, GM said. They did change coordinators. It just felt different. It felt less athletic, less arm talent. Everything felt less. If you're talking about this year's tape versus Jackson's Dart and Shedeur, I don't think it's particularly close. I don't think it was particularly close. This is nuts. I mean, honestly, truly, my honest assessment, I will say, in some instances, he did hold the ball a little too long. He had check downs that he could have threw passes to open receivers that was, wheel route, running back, wheel route coming out the backfield. He had check downs there that he could have just dinked and dunked and kept it moving. But he wanted to wait for that pass, wanted to make that pass to his number one receiver out there on the field, and that's what took place. I mean, there's a lot of folks out here that's been calling it that way, and again, it's he's not going to be able to lock in on one receiver when he gets to the pros. He's going to have to be able to balance it as far as his check downs, being able to throw the ball down the field. Now, I'm sure right now this young man, he just wants to be drafted, get to a destination for him to showcase his talent and show everybody that he's more than capable of doing the job that's required of him to be successful. Do I think he can do the job? Absolutely. If he's in the right system, I believe he can get the job done. All of these places that there, people are considering him to go. I did a show, I think it was maybe a week or so back, where I talked about multiple teams that I think will be best for him. New Orleans Saints, now that I look at that one, I mean, if they get him with it at 9 or 12, something like that, I mean, okay, cool, but he's back in the same situation that he was in Colorado, where he's going to be out there, pretty much running for his life, trying to keep folks off from knocking his behind down, knocking him all over the place. The Raiders will be good because he will actually be able to learn from his mentor, who is Tom Brady. But they got a long-term quarterback there, Geno Smith. Then you have Pittsburgh, in which now the rumors are Pittsburgh is looking to get Kirk Cousins from the Atlanta Falcons, which now they're moving away from Aaron Rodgers. They're not waiting on him no more. They're moving away from his behind because nobody has time to sit around and wait on you to make a decision as far as if you're going to play or not. Now, one place that I did think would be great that he can get there and learn, and I think they would, the offense, they will be able to let him learn in that offense, and when he touched the field, he will be absolutely freaking dangerous, and that's with the Rams. Now, I know some folks be like, Coach, you crazy as heck. I don't see him go there. No, we don't need to go there. We need to do this. Listen, respectfully, I respectfully understand that. But all I'm simply saying is that I want to see the young man succeed. Let me say that for y'all again, because I know some of y'all already, they got mad. Y'all already in your feelings as far as everything that I said, because all of this stuff that I just gave you came from NFL.com. This is not Coach Walker saying it to you. This is Coach Walker giving it back to you, but all of this came from NFL.com. And the crazy thing is, they talk about this young man's arm strength. Well, all of a sudden now his arm strength is an issue. People are talking as if this young man cannot read, he can't read his progressions out there on the field. You've seen him do it before in the past. Now all of a sudden there's a change and Travis Hunter out there on the field and everybody say, hey, look, he's throwing to Travis all the time. So now, like I said before, it's going to be a reset for him wherever it is that he lands. The other thing, they talk about like the body language. You getting beat up out there on the field, what you expect? I'm not here to make excuses for him, but yes, there's going to be some things that's going to need to be cleaned up because they're going to be a lot more critical on him than what people who sit down and critique and give their opinions as far as his play is doing currently right now. Will he be a great player in the NFL? I absolutely believe so. I absolutely believe he'll be a phenomenal player once he gets to the NFL. Dedication, hard work, doing the things that is doing the things that are required of him to be successful. I believe he can do that. The question is the system that he lands in. Will it be conducive to him being able to have that maturation to get things lined up in the manner which they need to for him to get out there on the field and be successful? Because it's almost like Caleb Williams. I'm going to give you this one. Caleb Williams and Justin Fields. Justin Fields Chicago Bears ran Justin Fields up out of Chicago. They brought in Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams got sacked just as many times as Justin Fields did the year that he was there, the last season he was there, and he didn't have any playmakers around him. Caleb Williams had a couple of playmakers around him last season and still wasn't able they weren't able to move the ball down the field like they were supposed to. So my question is, who does that fall? Who is held accountable for that as far as making sure that the offense is put together for them to be successful? Now, everybody looked at it as if it was Justin Fields' fault because he couldn't get the ball moving down the field because the defense was in his chest by the time he come back to go ahead and get ready to spot up and get ready to throw the ball. I mean, defense in his chest ready to sack him. But, again, we're going to see how everything turns out. Oh, and that other thing, let me get to the last thing that they said about Shedeur about as far as him patting the ball. Again, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that pat the ball. They spin the ball, get the ball right so they can, it's their timing. And I mean, it's like some of this stuff is just minimal stuff that they want to complain about just to make it something to keep everybody talking. So now they got me talking. I just shared it with you guys. Y'all leave your comments down below and let me know, is this fair or foul? But I got to give Shedeur Sanders Jr. his props. He stood up for his brother, letting everybody know, hey, listen, a lot of the stuff that's going on that these people are saying now is straight bull junk. Everybody was talking highly and praising them in the beginning. Now here we are getting close to the finish line. Everybody's starting to, come out the side of their neck saying a whole bunch of other stuff that don't quite make sense. This is the next part of the game that everybody's going to learn how it's going to be played, because now, guess what? They're not worried about Coach Prime coming in there coaching. They got your son now. This is going to be the time where Shedeur Sanders is going to get that college treatment that he never got playing while he was at Jackson State or for the university or for Colorado University, be it that his dad ain't the head football coach. His dad ain't the one that's pulling the strings over the organization, making things go the way it's supposed to go. Now, you got to pay the fee. You got to come in there and pay your fee. But guys, Coach going to go ahead and get up on out this thing. But like I stated before, leave your comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are over everything that I share with you in this one here. And I appreciate you all. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. And again, I appreciate you all. We out of this thing. Peace.